My name is ProperNerdy, and today is a very special day for me. I'm a TPK staff member, role player, and I guess game designer? We're gonna find out. When inspiration struck during a game of the top shelf, I quickly wrote what would eventually become the game that we're playing now. Honestly, I've never written anything before, but with a bit of help and inspiration from Foxy and the rest of the TPK family, I wrote and developed Generational, a story about stories. The premise of the game is pretty simple. Tell stories. In turn, each person at the table is going to tell the story of one person at a time. In between each turn, we'll roll a 100-sided die to determine the number of years between stories. By doing this over and over and over, we'll develop the history of a world. If any player rolls a 1 or a 100, that character becomes a once-in-a-generation character, and their actions during their life become incredibly influential, shaping all of the stories in the next round. I've built lots of other rules and guides, and most of them are optional. We're going to try a few different variations and see what works and what doesn't. This game doesn't have a game master and doesn't require a whole lot of setup. However, I'm going to check in with my players about a few things. I sent out a consent form to everyone, like you should always do for a role-playing game. So we have a good idea of which topics to avoid and which are okay with some warning. Another element of the game is inspiration. So like with any improv story, sometimes the players need a bit of inspiration. I'm going to check in with them as they introduce themselves and see what they prefer. Foxy, you are first. Introduce yourself and let the audience know, are you okay with getting inspiration from the other players? And if you're interested, inspiration from the chat itself.
Everybody, super happy to be here. It's Young Foxy, aka Big Foxy, aka Baron Von Foxy, your favorite fox. Yeah, I am super duper happy with chat throwing me curveballs, pitch balls, any other kinds of balls chat wants to throw at me. I'm cool with that. And same for my players. If you guys also want to throw balls at me,
phrasing?
I try. Yeah, I'm super cool with inspiration from everybody else. Please, this is gonna be super fun. I'm so hyped to take inspiration from these players. Let's do it. Let's do it all.
Hi, I'm Luke Locke, and yes, if I am paused because I can't think of a word or a name or anything like that, please absolutely feel free to just shout things at me, fellow players and chat.
No, I'm Purple Phil. Yeah, the same goes for me. I'll be reading chat. If someone throws me something, I'll find a way to use it. And same goes for players. If they want to help out, I will ask, and I probably will ask.
Hey guys, it's Chrissy, and yeah, absolutely, I'm always down for help whenever I need it. So sure, yeah, go for it.
That leaves me. Hi, I'm Osiris Franco, and I love collaborative storytelling. It's part of the reason I play TTRPGs at all. So if I seem stumped or I need some help, I would appreciate it from wherever it comes.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm glad we can all hear now, because that was a rough start, but it's okay. This is the order we're going to go in, just like we're going around a table. I'm going to read something from the rules that I wrote that's more terrifying. So, what are the rules? You can actually, if you want to, you can use the command !game to check out the system for yourself. It is free on itch right now because it is still in progress, and I have not quite gotten a chance to actually make it look pretty. So, if you want to follow along, feel free. One of the rules in the game is asking for inspiration. Generational is intense and asks a lot from its players. Every 5 to 10 minutes, you'll be coming up with a brand new character and give them a whole life. Sometimes you'll know exactly the kind of story you want to tell. Other times you might be drawing a blank. That's where your other players can come in handy. While no one person should ever try to lead your world's history, you may ask others for inspiration. And so I give them kind of a guide of how to ask for inspiration. The one phrase that I recommend is, I need a blank. And so you're clear about what you're asking for inspiration, being I need a name, I need a career, I need a whatever. And that is a good way to ask for inspiration. The other option is suggestions, like some of the players mentioned, that like if you can tell that the player is like not sure where to go next, feel free to respectfully interject their story to make a suggestion about anything you want. And so I thought I'd start with just that because it's kind of a big part of basically playing any improv game. There's a whole section on playing to the top of your intelligence, which is about, don't tell a story just because or to make it funny or just because you want to be dramatic. Like, tell a story that's interesting with a character that has wants and needs. So we'll see what happens. I volunteered to go first, and let me throw a song on just to get some vibes, I guess. I don't know. Then seeing as we just talked about inspiration, hey chat, can you please give me a name of a girl? I need a girl's name for the beginning of this story, if you don't mind. Or if anyone in the game also wants, feel free. You will notice that to our left is something called the timeline. The timeline is a way to organize what happened in the game. And fuck you, Cole. The timeline is basically a list of the years that you were playing and the names of important characters or events or locations that you might bring up because you're developing a whole world. So if you want to go back at some point and remember that king that like reigned for 300 years, you may want to look at their name and remember that. So hopefully everyone in the game should have the timeline open so we can add to it as the game goes on. That's going to be like the main crux of what the game becomes. Let's see what chat has told me other than Jimothy. Oh, I like Drea. Good one, Foxy. I don't know how to pronounce that tyrant. I can't say
Llewellyn.
that one.
Llewellyn.
Yeah, it's Llewellyn.
Onwin's a good one too, Luca. There are ants all over my desk, and it makes me very sad. I'm gonna go with Drea because I really like that one. Let's see, what do I got? The world starts with a girl with a fiery and passionate spirit. But the world is dull, it is dark, and it is empty. And so with the spirit of a sun, she creates a star. A star in the center of empty blackness. Her name is Drea. And she is going to fill the world with light. Drea sees the star in its light and is overjoyed by the pure bliss that it brings to a nearly empty universe. But something tells her she needs more than just light. So she creates the world. The world is empty and void, just like the universe was. So with the fiery spirit within her, she erupts the planet and creates volcanoes. The volcanoes create the earth and separate the ground from the water, creating the continents of this world. The ripples from earthquakes that the volcanoes create the rivers and the streams. And through the turmoil of all of that heat and energy, life is created. First the fish, and then the birds. The birds clear out the soot from the volcanoes, and the fish clear out the debris and settle upon the ocean floor. And then she lands on the planet and wanders the planet for decades, for eons, and looks at what she has created. And she wonders, is there more that she can create? And so she creates a friend. Chat or anyone in the game, if you feel like naming the friend, feel free, or we can wait for another story to describe that one. Drea and her friend wander the planet and name all of the things that they see. They name every bird. They name as many fish as they can find. They find creatures of every shape and every size, and they name them. And after they've traveled the world and named everything, Drea sits down with her friend and sleeps eternally. That was a bit short. The music just ran out, but I think that's a good way to start. Foxy, you're next.
All right.
And should I name the friend or should I leave it up to you?
I will. I'll take the friend if you don't mind. I can deal with that.
Go for it. You don't even have to use her. You can tell about any other story.
Okay. And that's fine. In that case, I'll let Chat. Chat got some good options in there, so I'll take whatever Chat takes. So, after Greya and her friend, I like Cressida. I like Cressida. Sounds really nice. After Greya and Cressida spend their settle down for their eternal rest, the world falls into a kind of stasis. The fish in the sea gallivanting about the oceans vast, the creatures of the great lands and plains roaming about, growing bigger and stronger off of each other in time through conquest and foraging and the overall cycles of evolution, as it were. But the land itself falls into this homeopathic cycle of life and death and rebirth, very simplistic, resulting in creatures of all kinds of fantastical sizes, great god beasts of uncountable strength roaming the land, shaping rivers and mountain ranges through roar and tail thrash. Things are this way for a long time, until finally, from the primordial life heat comes another. His name is Tawe. And unlike the previous two, who are makers, Tawe is a hunter. He desires nothing more than the raw thrill of overcoming another. He finds all of life to be a challenge, and you are either given glory in defeating another, or you give them glory in kind in your defeat. And so, Tawe roams about the world, goes in throughout the land and seeks all the greatest beasts he could find. He wrangles the strongest dragons of the mountains and brings down the longest winged beasts of the sky. He roams across every sea and every plain and finds any beast with more than enough teeth to see him slain, and he casts them down. And from there, he finds there is nothing more perfect in this life than disorder, than chaos. And so Tawe makes it his mission to find nothing more than the one beast who can kill him, who can usurp him as the apex predator about this land. And so for 1,000 years and 1,000 more, a lifetime uncountable, Tawe travels alone until finally he meets his match. A beast as big as mountains, its maw wide like a horizon, its eyes glistening stars against empty pools of void black. It is a world maw, an ever hunger, an thing of creation and hunger. And Tawe knows that this thing is meant to be his match, so he sets about his planning. He laces his traps, places long lines of rope about the land to restrain the beast, readies sharp spears to pierce its diamond-hard scales, and after 4 days and 4 nights of fighting, he finds neither of them can best another. And Tawe needs an advantage then. So he travels long and far back towards the primordial life ooze from whence he was made and offers to it a bit of his flesh. And from there comes another, and then another, and another, and another, until Tawe gathers a pack 1,000 wide and 1,000 long, a community of hunter spirits like him, and together they set about to conquer the last of the great god beasts. Their battle is legendary. Stars reshaping themselves to link the tale across the cosmos forevermore, that any who gaze upon it may know that upon this day, man stood not for creation, but for chaos, for the moment, for disorder in its truest sense. And in the aftermath, Tawe stood dead against his conquest. Hunter and hunted, slaying each other in the most blissful kind of combat any of us can ever know. And with his dying breath, he bequeaths that spirit of chaos, of breaking apart system and order and anything that feels just a little bit wrong. He bequeaths all this to his fellow hunters and bids them take the world. And that's all I got.
Excellent. Do you want to tell me how to spell Tawe?
It's T-A apostrophe U. E.
T-A apostrophe what?
U-E.
Love it. And how would you describe that story in like a phrase?
I would say Tawe bequeaths the spirit of disorder.
Bequeaths. Wow.
English major, you know?
You know what? It's fine. We also forgot to roll the only die that you play in this entire game, so you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I ran it.
You went hard.
Sorry.
Did you write that though, or did you improvise it?
Totally improvised. Top of my head.
Jesus
The only thing I
fuck,
had before you
y'all.
started was Tawe. That's all I had was his name.
Same. I had a general idea, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go on. I spelled bequeath wrong. It's okay.
Imagine spelling words right.
Right? We can be a little ethereal this first round if y'all want to give me some good old myths and legends, but later on, if we want to start rolling, that would be like, you know, the only rule in the game that's required. Luca, you're next.
I don't really know how I'm gonna follow that, so
Yeah, Foxy came hard, and I was like, oh, Lord.
Foxy
y'all.
came out
Stop.
with a whole
Stop. You guys are fine. I had to come
world
hard
legend.
because y'all are about to embarrass me. So y'all better listen, all right? I don't want to hear that, all right? Let's not.
Well, Tom is off fighting his world bot. Krishna will she's actually going to nudge Drya in her slumber and ask that more friends be made with the ability to create more friends themselves, so that she may never be alone while Drya sleeps, and thereby creating the peoples of this world. And Drya, seeing nothing wrong with this, does so, putting forth a myriad of different peoples into the world, and they will go about naming things and setting up life. And I'm gonna pass it on to the next person, who I forget the order already.
It's fine. It's purple.
It's me.
Can you add something to the
Purple.
timeline about what you did? Also, I did not realize that the D&D overlay is still going on. If anyone wants to help me fix that.
Cressida asks
Cole, where are you?
Drya
Cole.
to create. I can turn it off in just a second. Cressida asked Drya to create more peoples with the ability to create, however that may be. There.
Lovely.
Added to the timeline.
Perfect.
And I will disable the D&D.
Cole says it's not. Maybe it's just my screen.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Cool. Purple Phil, you are next.
Oh, okay. I am gonna roll dice because I want to see how long after.
So,
after that.
as I said, the main rule in the game is you roll a D100 to see how many years have passed since the last story.
I got a 95.
Okay.
So
It is now
that's
year
good.
97, evidently.
Yes. So the friends and people that Drya created at Crestia's asking, and the hunters that have been created by Tawe have all gone out and traveled across the worlds, finding things, naming things, seeing the might and the glory that this world has given to them. They search, finding all of these great places of extraordinary earthly beauty, of mountains, of rivers, things of indescribable nature that when they see, they realize there's an inherent being to it. Power given down by Drea to the world for others to see and to hear and touch and feel. And as they explore these, they slowly start to question. And one of these children or hunters named Arcturus sees out these items and understands an innate magic in them. And with other followers and other friends and other of these hunters, they find these pieces of life that have more power than the others. They find specific places that focus and bring together an energy unlike anywhere else. There's energy otherwhere, but it's not the same. There's more power in these specific spots. And as they go to them, travel to them, work with them, they take time to meditate, to go through and discuss and figure out what's happening. And as they do, they slowly learn that this energy can be used by them as well. And Arcturus discovers the first magics and is able to create just a spark of light in his fingers. But it's enough that all of the other friends and the hunters realize that there is something greater out there that they can do. And others work to replicate. Over years, they begin to learn. And that is the life of Arcturus, the first magic user in the world.
All right, so I am also going to roll. And I got an 86.
Awesome.
So and I want to make sure I'm getting the name right. Arcturus?
Yep.
Okay. So as Arcturus is kind of learning and realizing all of this new magic and all of this innate magical bit in the world, what he comes across is a small rock. And the rock is kind of vibrating. It's humming, and it has just an energy about it that's different even than the magic that he's used to kind of learning about now. And as he is kind of milling around and he has this rock in his pocket, it starts to crack, and as it cracks, it lets out a light of gods. So it is just the brightest light that you could imagine, kind of just giving him a blindness. But instead of being fully blind, he can now hear things a little bit better and experience this magic kind of a little bit more deeply, and becomes like the very first innately magical being. So it kind of imbues him with the magic itself rather than the magic being in the world. He starts to be able to manipulate the magic and change it, and he places the small stone, like the little stone, at the top of a staff. And that is kind of where I'll let Sarah pick up the story.
Awesome. I just rolled. It is 46 years after this happens. Over time, he begins to teach other people, right? And through the nature of people being born in the land along lines of power, it begins to like seep into the people themselves, into their homes. While they're there, the people that Cressida spoke into existence, and the ones that Tawe pulled from the ooze, slowly their lives shift and change and become, they know each other, but they're different. One harnesses the strength found in themselves, the other starting to harness the power that they find in the world. And from Tawe's people emerges Maya. She is a warrior. She is a follower of Tawe. She she was raised to hunt and fight, and she sees the others as she has come to know them, and their strange magics, and she is confused by it. She doesn't understand why they would harness this power and not look to themselves. And she sees it as sort of a perversion of life itself, right? Like, this is not something that they are meant to harness. This is something that is inherent and should be free. That spirit of chaos that Tawe kind of encouraged in the armies that he made, flaring within her. And she watches these people from her civilization, and she speaks with her brothers and she speaks with her sisters, asking who are these people that think that they can harness the power of gods, and cautions that in time that this power will become greater than everyone, and leads a group of her people away back into the wilds to live life as that was intended by virtue of strength.
Excellent. So that's a full round. Do we want to start using any of the other optional rules as we move forward?
I'm super down for it. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. You know, let's bring it all in. I want all the smoke.
Yeah. Do we want to like up an age? Do a roll to move forward in an age or something like that? Maybe.
I'm down for moving forward in age.
So, in the rules for generational, if I can find the right tab, give me 1 second. Where did I put it? Did I not write it? Anyway, hold on. I put this here somewhere.
Appendix A, ages.
Yeah, but there's no rule about it. I didn't write it down.
Optional features. That's the first one.
Anyway, in the game, there is the option to... there is a bunch of rollable tables. They're appendices. And you can choose to go through the ages one at a time, or you can skip around however you like. There we go. That's not what I said. Anyway. Let's see. Let's find the first.
I put Arcturus down here in year 229, but I think it was Tawe that I meant.
Yeah, so
up there at the top. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm fixing it. I got it. We're good.
Thank
We're good.
you. Listen, I'm just trying to type so we don't lose the details while it happens.
Yeah, I can't find my pen, so I can't take notes.
I mean, feel free to open another document if you want to take your own notes as opposed to the timeline. I also just realized something wrong with the way I set up the timeline for stream, so that's okay. Do we want to roll for a new age, or do we want to just go on to the next one?
How about we roll?
Let's roll it. Yeah, let's roll it.
Roll. Let's, as much
Someone
as
in
we
chat
can
want to
roll,
roll
I
me a
think we do
D100?
roll.
I think we can roll a D100 in chat.
Yeah.
I feel like we should just try it, the rules that way.
Yeah,
Proper,
get them
you
tested
know,
out.
as the game creator, like what?
Luca got a grand 2.
That's the same as just
Sorry,
moving
guys.
forward.
I'm sorry. I tried.
No.
For
The dice
2,000
says, the dice
years.
says just go.
Wait, can I give you advantage with chat points? Or does that not count? 'Cause I'm in the game. Can I not do that?
The invention of fire.
All right. Oh, is that where we're at? The invention of fire? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So we fast forward a brief bit of ages.
I guess you're next, Foxy.
Oh, right. I forgot. My fault. I totally forgot. I had like a weird GM thought in my head, and then I forgot there's not a GM here. My fault. You go. I'm itching. I'm sorry. I'm too itchy.
You want to tell your story first before
No, please, go.
I'm going to also roll a D100 for myself and see what happens. Too many windows open right now. It's only 9 years after Maya leads her people into the wilds. And it is an old man who has been set to watch the village while the rest sleep. And as he sits there, the sky starts to grumble and groan, and he looks to the skies. His people have not yet truly understand what the world is and what it means, but he knows that when the sky sounds like this, it's going to rain. and he huddles under what he has for some sort of overgarment to cover himself from the wet. But he is true to his people that Maya led into the wilds, and he huddles there and watches for animals that might be lurking, for other people that might come by. He isn't sure what's going to happen, but he waits. And in a loud crack, he thinks the sky is opening above him, and from it hurls lightning for the first time he's seen in his life, so close. And it strikes a tree next to him, and he scurries back towards the village, calling for help. The man watches as the tree hurtles down and lands with a thud on the ground. And something happens that hadn't happened in so many times before. It bursts into flames, and he starts yelling louder for the people of the village to come and see what happened. And they watch as this tree burns, and they don't understand what's happening, but it's hot and it's loud, and suddenly the people, as strong as they are, start to flee further and further into the woods, and families are separated as people run and run. But the old man sits and watches in awe, as almost like watching a god come down to earth. Sure, he wasn't there when Andrea created the universe, but this is the most spiritual thing he has ever experienced. And he grabs a branch that's fallen from one of the other trees and experimentally pushes it a little bit closer, and the branch alights slowly, and he feels like he has harnessed the power of a god. And soon the rain comes and puts out the fire, and it doesn't get a chance to spread, but he huddles with underneath a tree with a branch that is burning, and his people come back one at a time and discover this branch, and he is seen as being imbued with powers of a god. And they cluster around the fire. They learn quickly that by finding other pieces of dry wood that they find underneath other trees and other leaves, that they can burn those, but that water seems to be a problem. And this man, if anyone wants to give me a name, becomes the leader of a village because of his power to harness fire.
Veska.
Kale.
Meska?
Veska with a V.
I love this name already.
I just have to ask for clarification. Did Lucas suggest a vegetable?
Wait, what?
Yes,
Kale,
but
kale,
it's also
kale, buddy,
the
kale,
name
kale,
from,
buddy, kale,
yeah,
kale. Listen, kale.
From Turks, from Winterhold's Finest that we
That
played.
bastard.
Kale.
I just
Buddy
really
kale.
wanted you to repeat it. That's all.
It's fine. It was pretty great. I guess all right. So I'll wait for the finished description before I'll roll in the meantime. Is what I'll do. All right. I gotta. I'm sorry. That's an 84. Okay. So yeah, I'll take that. So what are we at now? That's year. Oh God, math. Somebody help me, please.
Don't worry, I got it.
Okay, cool, awesome.
You tell stories, I'll do math things.
Got you. I was an English major, not a math one. All right. So it's been 84 years since fire was brought upon Maya's people. And from there, culturally, they harvested this sort of, or I guess, fostered and flourished this deep loving and understanding of the natural gifts the world gives them, not so much the esoteric. And from there, in the ways that Arcturus's people grew in magical strength and learned to harness the sort of ley lines and magical energies of the world, Maya's people of the woods and of the mountains grew to trust in the natural forging of the wood and stone and metals of the earth to create the technologies and sciences that they would need. They did this forming these great castled cities and huge walls, massive armies and siege engines that could, achieve all kinds of great industrial tasks, clearing grand swaths of forests, road building, all kinds of great societal instructions. And after all this time, amongst all their myriad groups, cultures, societies, and fiefdoms, rises a king by the name of, we'll go with Vladimir. I like Vladimir. Vladimir's a fun name. And Vladimir is an interesting character for a while. He is sort of birthed into this lineage, this noble lineage, taught that, ruling this kingdom, leading them forward towards a prosperous future would be his birthright always. And he, sort of oriented every decision in his life from his youth around this decision. I'm becoming the best tactical leader and the best logistician, the best, the best speaker, the best leader he could possibly be. And in all of this, he followed this very strict life until he met someone. And I'm gonna need one of my other players to give me a name for a girl, if you could.
Ava.
Ava, perfect. Vladimir meets Ava one day while he's out doing his routine training regimens, practicing his sword forms for a while. He meets her in the field and they have a long chat about the nature of the world, about the way their peoples have learned to treat everything like a conquest, like a challenge to be solved, and how she doesn't quite understand that, how sometimes there's a harmony to be found in the world, not necessarily a conquest. He doesn't understand this at first, Vladimir, but he appreciates this new perspective and he falls for her deeply. Every decision he takes, every act he makes, when he's crowned king, when he launches his first conquest, when he engages in his first act of diplomacy, he does all of this with the thought of her in the back of his head. Just this deep, underseating wish that someday, just maybe, if he does things right, the world could be right for her. And then she falls very ill. And he's racked with guilt of this. He does everything that he can, seeks every healer, a cleric, and wise man and woman that he can across all of his people's lands, and finds nothing of a cure. Until word comes that the people of the other lands, those who have learned to harness magic, have done things beyond the mortal ken, shaped the world in ways that they couldn't imagine possible. There are even rumors that they can save those who have gone beyond life. In that instance, Vladimir makes an incredibly important decision. And he first reaches out to these people with hope, saying, please send your best scholars and mages to my lands. Help me heal the woman I love. But they know that magic is not a thing to be bent. It's a thing to be worked with, to be harmonized with. And so they don't offer him this assistance. Enraged and beyond engrieved, Vladimir launches a mad conquest of a neighboring land, sacking anything that he can as far as magical item. Any mage that he finds, he says, you will serve me, help the woman that I love, or you'll die. And he goes on this crusade for generations, for for years, for a long, long time, until it is finally, when he accesses this, he gains access to an incredibly potent relic, one of the first magical relics found by Arcturus's people. He thinks he can twist this magic, twist this power to save Ava's life, and he launches this bloody war, murders millions, hundreds of thousands are killed in this long, long siege to secure this item. And finally, after all that work, all that bloodshed, he gathers it, enacts a ritual of the foulest magic. And in the strangest moment, the gods tell him no. And not just Vladimir, but every single individual of his lineage, his peoples, all who have followed him, are forever barred from ever accessing the magical energies. The memory of the bodies he piled up in his quest for absolution scarred into the memories of so many cultures for so long. And that's all I got.
What peoples was Vladimir a part of?
He was part of Maya's people. I got it.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to keep things.
I got it. It's a collaborative thing. We're here. We're making it work. You focus on telling stories. I got this.
Popper, what was your guy's name again? That became god of his little village.
Veska.
Veska. Okay, right there we
Veska came before
Okay.
Vladimir.
Mm-hmm.
go. Oh, was he also part of?
We have yet to
Well,
establish
he would've
other. Yeah.
Okay, Veska. I would love to think would have been an offshoot of Maya's people.
Do you want to
right?
roll? Do you want to roll and see how much time has passed?
Let's do it.
Sick.
96. Okay, 96 years. We have two peoples. We have Maya's people from Tawe that have distanced themselves from magics. We have Cressida's friends that are into using magics. Okay, we'll head back to Cressida's thing. I would like to think that the stone that was found, that Chrissy established, having imbued the people, that was different than the little pieces of life. Along the generational lines, I would think that a lot of people were born with just magics imbued within them. But every once in a while, they weren't. And they were able to find their own magic in a way. It was not in such a spiritual manner, but it was more of a sharpening arrowheads to go hunting, and sparks started flying and caught the dry grasses nearby, and they realized that they had found their own magic items, and it became very common for the children born without inherent magic within them to be wearing on a thin leather necklace a piece of flint, for them to create their own magic wherever they went. And flint was kind of revered as its own magical item of sorts. And you would find a lot of little villages cropping up near where deposits could be found. And it was almost like a little bit of a branch off of cultures, where you had the truly magically imbued, and then these little fire starters that had their own self-made magics, which the people imbued with magic didn't really bother with those things. They can literally just learn to harness magic within their bodies and create fire in their hands. And so this little offshoot of people born without magics learns to find mundane and make it magical through use. And I will pass it.
All right. So, more magic items. I got a 24. I need a name. Chat, you want to give me a name for another king? Tuxton. We're gonna go with Tuxton. All right. Descendant of King Vladimir. Several great grandfathers, I guess, difference maybe. So it's almost a little over 100 years. Tuxton becomes a king of his people and starts leading them around. And they, much like his great grandfather, follow the path to war. Not for a wife or someone he loves, but following the people's wills. The people desire more expansion and wish to claim lands around and to use their hunting and to make sure that magic isn't used. They declare several wars and gobble up land next door and kind of treat themselves as if they deserve what they get. But as Tuxton ages and he sees his children dying in the wars that they fight, there's not many that die, but several of his children do, several of his friends do. And as he gets old and frail, he realizes that there's been an error to his ways and that these wars are not meant to continue. So in an option of peace, he invites one of the peoples of Cressidia's villages over. And with help of one of their elders, he seeks peace between them, and in front of his people makes a promise to all of them. He takes his sword and weapon that he's used to fight people, and he says, "I will put this sword in the ground, and there it shall stay, and we shall not fight again until it leaves, and it shall not leave the ground." And with the help of this elder, they use magic to open up the earth and embed this sword into the stone. And he says, "This shall be peace among our people forever." And with that, Tuxton lives out the rest of his life as a peaceful king, and his people live in peace with the others next door. And he takes some time to atone for the wars that he caused and led. With that, I'll pass it off towards Chrissy.
So, chat, I would love some inspiration on a female name. Or even my teammates, if you have one.
What you need? What was the call?
A female name. Well, Tyrant came in with Gwen, so we're gonna go with Gwen.
Gwen works.
Yeah.
Not Llewellyn. Not like 8 vowels.
Llewellyn's a good name. I forgot.
Llewellyn's
about it.
a wonderful
Dude,
name.
blend them. Gwelyn. There you
There's
go.
too
You
many
blend them.
L's.
Morgana is a good one too. Okay. So I rolled and I got 5.
Lovely.
So 5 years later. And then do I roll again for the tables on the appendixes?
We haven't really started using those yet, so why don't we wait until the next round and we can start using those in a second. You can feel free to get inspiration from them, but we'll be more specific about that in a second.
Nah, it's okay. I won't even look at them yet then because I don't want to. But
for point of reference, because you asked it now, you would use the same number.
Okay, cool. So since it's fairly quick after the truce, I will say Gwen being one of the, and I'm gonna have to ask Luca again, did you give a name to your tribe of people who carry the flint?
I called them fire starters, but I am so open to a
I like that
cooler
personally.
name.
I'm a fan.
They could have developed a name as time went on.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have a better name, by all means, go for it.
I don't know if I have a better name, but I will go with the fire starters until we get
it's not the most
another
original name. It was
suggestion.
just what I called them. They're working on getting a better name.
Okay, cool. So Gwen being one of the original fire starters, she carries on her necklace of flint, at her side a small dagger, kind of for flaying small animals and whittling out various things that she would need, not necessarily for combat. She is a woman who would probably present herself as much tougher on the outside than on the inside. I would say calluses. If you were to shake her hand, she would have super calloused hands, just like rough and tumble kind of girl, but is emotionally attached to her grandfather, who was one of the elders of this village. And her grandfather had told her this story, as she had grown up, about this truce. And while she had no need or any reason whatsoever to start the war, she had become restart a war. She had kind of become obsessed with the idea of this sword within the ground. And just looked to learn about it, as much about it as she could. And since her people were kind of a little bit less, I don't want to use the word educated because that's not the word. They're very differently educated. She started secretly meeting up with people from the ancient Arcturus's people, which I don't know if we gave them a name either.
Just the hunters, right? That was
You
kind of
could-
what we've been calling
So
them.
we've got hunters and we've got like Arcturuses,
Magical.
which kind of came from Chrysidia, is how
Came
I
from
kind of
both.
pictured
Correct.
Is the way-
it.
Yeah,
So like
so-
I feel like you could do the Chrysidians or you could do the Arcturians, depending on however.
Real quick,
However,
is it Cressida or Chrysidia? Because you've said two different
Senna?
things.
I've said it
the
differently.
name
I've been saying
I
Cressida,
originally
so I don't-
introduced was Cressida, but if we want it Chrysidia,
I've heard of
think Cressida
it.
I
sounds
would
really
think
good.
that her name may have been Cressida at once upon a time, but now all of her
Ooh, I like
descendants
Names do change over
now
time.
call
It
her
changes.
Chrysidia.
Just because I wrote this and I get to say pretty things, I really enjoy that you say that. One of the important things that I mention in the rules is specifically something that I called the strength and frailty of
And
legends.
Frailty of legends,
Mhm.
yes.
Within each round,
Very,
every
very
story
good.
should be assumed to be the absolute truth. However, as time goes on, these stories might be accidentally warped, intentionally changed, forgotten, or altogether lost. In succeeding rounds, the stories of previous rounds lose their power and may eventually become myths or legends, whether included in written history or not. So that's a very good point, Luca, because even though that was the name that she was when when she created the world, it wasn't necessarily what people remember her as. So that's good. I like that.
I mean, history is just one big game of telephone anyways, so
I mean,
people
yes.
can call her
Right.
Chrysidia now.
Thanks
Big
for
game of
boiling
telephone,
down
the more
my
racist
game
you
to
are, the more you-
telephone,
I'm
Luca.
sorry.
job, Luca.
sorry.
No, you guys are killing it. I'm
Uh.
loving it so far. Please continue. I think I interrupted you, Chrissy.
That's okay. No, because that cleared it up, because I was kind of thinking the same thing that Sarah explained. So, being a descendant of these kind of like more magical people, but we use the word mundane or earthly magic would be the way I would explain it. She starts sneaking over to the nearest city and kind of just trying to get as much knowledge as possible. So she's trying to get people to teach her to read. She's trying to get people to teach her about history and the world and everything that's out there. And as she starts to realize, like, she lives a very simple life, that there's more out there, but also she begins to really appreciate just Earth and the magic within it. And you can kind of see that on her flint necklace, she starts to add other small little Earth bits. So she'll add like an amethyst here or a piece of bone next to it, and starts to really educate herself and learn about what it means to be a being on this planet.
I love it.
I
here
didn't write
for
any
it.
of that down because I was just listening.
I know. That's my problem.
I'm like trying to
So-
deal with like the stream and like 6 other things.
Yeah, I
and
would
y'all are telling
say that
beautiful stories.
The onus, I think, is going to have to lie on us to do our own year's recaps in the timeline.
Yep. So like do the thing
Otherwise-
and then type as the next person kind
I
of
just want it
starts
known
doing-
that I heard all of that and I got it all right here, so I can write it down if I need to. But
Also,
I'm currently dealing
feel
with a thing.
free,
Popping it.
guys, feel free to leave it a little bit more vague if you want to make a one-line sentence or just like a name. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be that like every person is influential to the next person. It
Yeah.
could just be like Gwen learns about history.
Awesome. So it's been 35 years later. There is a man. He is a philosopher. He is of I feel like he's one of those people, it doesn't really matter which branch he came from, because I think he moves through the world as a skeptic. He attends to his work, but he enjoys the process of thought, of dialogue, of conversation. He's a person who pushes boundaries and envelopes. He's the guy that always sits down at a table and asks why, in whatever capacity. While he is very much loved by his friends, but he's somewhat obnoxious. And then one day, from the corner of his eye, he thinks he sees something, and he turns to look, and it's gone, and he's confused, and he continues on, and he continues to ask the question why, and people will come to him with problems, these strange goings-ons in their life, to ask what it all means, and he's not certain. I don't know. I don't think I gave him a name. I would love a male name from anybody. But these kind of, as things go on, he has sort of a
Naos?
Naos?
Naos. Naos.
Okay, perfect. Naos. Naos is eventually asked a question that's so, it puts him on edge. Like, it's, you know how sometimes there's just moments where there's a question or a thought that hits you and you don't know what to do with it. This happens to Naos, and he goes to the mountains to try and understand the greater why and how all of these whys tie together. And he has a moment of enlightenment where he believes on the mountains, he dreams, and he believes that he dreams alongside Dryia, the goddess, the creator of all. And through those dreams, he believes he sees manifestation of the dreams active in the world, pushing things and events and in ways that is the will of Dryia. And he names these phenomenon, these beings, these entities that he perceives through his dreams as the Rekis. And Naos comes down from the mountain and says he understands the why, that this is all, it's the will of the creator, it's the goddess Dryia. And while some people believe him, unfortunately others do not. And Naos is imprisoned for heresy. It is demanded that he give up these crazy notions of the Reki and this absurdity, for surely the goddess sleeps and does not have dreams. And he refuses to give up on his beliefs. And mysteriously in the night, through no explanation and no reason why, Naos escapes from his cell and is never heard from again. But the idea of dreams and the idea of Reki spread through the land as people continue to search for why things happen.
For all of our sakes, Sarah, would you mind putting like a definition of what the Reki is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, what did you do?
We switched. Chrissy's internet dropped and she
that's a shame.
switched.
Okay, I'll fix it in a second.
I love Chrissy. I don't know.
Wait, no, it's funny. It works because like technically my real name still has Chris in it. So like I can also be a Chrissy. I'm okay with this.
It was like freezing, and it's been doing this thing where it like freezes and then starts up again and then drops and then goes automatically back again. And it did that really quickly. And I was like,
That
just
sounds
watched it happen.
Oh no.
Sorry, friends.
You're fine.
Proper, it's your turn.
Yes,
right?
it is.
Okay.
I believe
I'm just
Foxy.
making sure because we
forgot
switched
purple.
around.
No,
Wait, we forgot purple.
I'm here.
You already
I
did
did
it,
my
but you're
turn.
on the circle. Wrong way.
Huh? We did?
You
I
think-
went.
Yeah, he did. King Texton.
King Texton.
Foxy,
Oh.
you're gonna roll the age, so please roll me a D100 for me, please.
I forget I'd be first. All right, I'm gonna roll that right now, and get a 65.
Lovely. Anyone want to tell me what that age is? You just
Imagine
I
having
got
the
it
table
up.
of ages up in front of you right now.
65 is a sharky truce.
a shaky truce.
Shaky truce. Wow.
A sharky truce.
Bill, hold on.
What
Right
does
now,
that look like?
can we please come up with a Sharky truce?
I will try to work
I
sharp.
will change the story I was going to tell a sharky truce. You just have to give me 1 second. Do we also want to start using any of the other tables? So there is the planet, there is the people, and there is something else. Oh, magic. Okay,
I
it was
had
characters,
some
magic,
ideas
and the
for the
planet.
that I was going to talk about on my turn, but if you want, we can roll on the tables. That's cool.
I'm cool with. I don't know.
We're kind of
if you
we
wanna-
have a good vibe going on, so you can decide to use any of these if you like them.
I was gonna
But-
say we should let people pull from them as they see fit.
Yeah.
Is what
We'll
it
do a
feels
specific
like.
roll later on, but because I just want to play like one round, we all do it. But we're in a good spot right now that we don't have to right now. If you decide to use it though, let me know and I'll like do a little spiel real quick. And remember that if you use the table and you want to roll on the table, you'll use the same number you roll for the year. I'll do the D100 right now, and I will tell my story, which is going to be part of a Sharky Truce, I guess.
So good.
66. Okay, so nobody watched the sea, and for hundreds of years, creatures have grown and developed towns and cities and kingdoms and communities. However, there was something else brewing. More life further away from the mainland where these creatures were calling home. Deep below the sea, a creature that would one day become known as a shark by other creatures were developing their own community. They established intelligence just as quickly as any other creature, but they were stuck under the water. Sure, they had any resource that men had, but they didn't really have the ability to make a true kingdom until now. Someone in chat or in the party with me, please give me the name of a shark king. Which if you...
Doot.
Did someone just say doot?
Doot. Doot, 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 doot.
Fuck you.
Hey.
No, his name is not Doot. His name is not...
Bogrock.
Bogrock? That sounds like a real name. Bogrock the Sharp became the ruler of a school of sharks. And he had the vision that not he, nor his son, nor his daughter, nor his children's children's children, but somewhere in hundreds of years, one of his people would walk on land. And so he put the greatest minds in the community together and started developing technology for their future. Bogrock created Reginald Shark. I love it. Bogrock developed the Undercity world of Bagopolis, let's say. I've said it. It's less cool than all the rest of yours, but it's Bagopolis. And I'm going to write these names down before I forget them. Nope, which... too many tabs. Too many tabs. Year. 5, 4, 8. Bagopolis became a thriving community, and more than just the shark people were eventually going to become citizens of Bagopolis. Soon, other fish started developing intelligence. They started developing... what if I started? Please. They started developing a community of their own. So other fish that would soon become squid, and jellyfish soon developed their own communities under the sea. But it was only Bogrock who really wanted to become a land walker. And so throughout his entire reign, he sought nothing but the ability to walk on land. And sure, it divided the people, but his strength and decision to look for this, to find a way, is what eventually gave his people the power to create a whole community. Someone from my group has given me Bagopolis and ultimate namer of cities, I guess.
I mean, dude named the city just first part of his name, Opolis.
You did do
That's
that.
a power move.
It was pretty. It's
He
pretty
is
basic.
the most influential shark around, y'all. He's Bogrock the Sharp.
Honestly, he's looking sharp. Sorry. Anyway,
Purple Phil, they did make schools, and I hate that I said that.
for the schools of socio-sharkonomics, because I personally am a really big fan of that. I'm gonna ride that joke out for as long as I can. It's been 49 years.
I have not given you a Sharky truce, but that is the age for the entire round. So feel free to do with it as you wish.
I can set up some sharkiness to this truce. It's not a problem. That's doable.
You don't have to go right away into the Sharky truce. You can let it. You can
I know. I'm gonna set up
chill.
some sharkiness and let my players bring the truth to the shark.
Are we gonna start developing Bagopolis?
Yes, actually, that's exactly what's about to happen. You brought this on yourself. So, Matt, somebody, if you don't mind, it's been 49 years. And you know what? I am gonna roll on the magic table. No, I lied. I'm gonna roll on. I'm gonna roll on the magic table. I'm gonna do that. Actually, yep. So, how does that work, Sir Proper?
Whatever you added, whatever your year was, it was 49. You said pick 49.
Okay, 49 on the magic table. There's a lot of numbers on this table. Okay.
This is why it's free right now, because my tables are garbage.
A diviner. This is okay. All right. Okay. Got you. All right. Here we go. So, Bogrop the shark, great ruler of Bagropolis, goes on for a while. Also, I changed it from Bagopolis to Bagropolis because his name is Bogrop, and I think that just works even better personally. So, I don't know. I'm running with that. After the great Bogrop passes, his lineage carries on, ruling the great city of Bagopolis until it becomes the great city of Bagropolis. They add the R in there at some point, just because for some people they don't even say the R. It's kind of like how some people put the R in Chicago, but even though it's not there, some people drop the R from Bagropolis, even though it's actually there. In any case, I'm going to stop memeing now. So it's after all this time that this long lineage of very sharky kings ruling over their vast underwater community, separate from the great peoples and their conflict of the land, despite the few who go and walk on land. There are rumors of, these predator people who rise up from the depths. And while the stories range from, these shark-like individuals who come up to the surface for trade and to pass stories, others tell of these horrific monsters from the oceans who come up to steal away children at night and and devour them in their sleep. And there's all kinds of tales going around for this long time. And it is not for a very long time that an individual by the name of, we're gonna go with Tachi. I like Tachi. Tachi is He is, for some reason, shark people live incredibly short lives despite growing very fast. So he is 145th in the line of Bagrop. And Tachi doesn't become ruler. He actually, when it becomes time for him to engage in the blood ceremony wherein you fight the current ruler to the death, and upon killing him become the ruler, he effectively just stood down and said, I don't want to rule. And he gave that off to one of his brothers in his lineage, and instead became a priest, traveling around and preaching the words of sort of this great universal truth of knowledge and understanding. And it is after this time he goes on this long pilgrimage, this sort of hears a strange calling in his soul to explore the vastness of the oceans. And it is during this long period of exploration he comes across this sunken temple, this lost shrine to a being he has no knowledge or connection to, but has to be some kind of divine. Attuning to this place, spending some time meditating with the waves all surrounding it, he accesses the Reki and briefly sees dreams that show him great conflicts and disasters brought upon him, his people, and those of the surface, that there will be an unsurmountable conflict that will bring devastation upon all the lands, see everything wiped clean from this beautiful world they have been blessed by the gods to have. And Tachi says that he will do anything in his power to prevent that. And at first he begins peacefully, brief ventures up to the surface to meet with surface dwellers and talk with them, to learn of their cultures and try to connect with them, to learn things. But this backfires as rumor and story and superstition begins to spread. And he finds that there are places where he's not welcome, where he can't enter, where he can't work with these people. These tensions spill over into an incident where one night, one of his guards is attacked in a tavern and he goes into a blood rage. This incident sparks skirmish conflicts that begin to spill over into what looks to be a full-scale war. But the people of the surface have not been idle all this time. No, in fact, with all the time while the shark people of Bagropolis have been growing slowly in time, the surface dwellers have been gathering insane technological wealth, growing so much stronger. And they begin to talk about, they demonstrate this, in fact, with a sort of strange, inky plague bomb that they drop on a Bagropolis surface colony, wiping out thousands of people. It's horrible, actually. Calls begin to go out, some for ceasefire, others for all-out, total genocidal conflict on either side. And Tachi knows that something has to be done to end this, but all this war, all this fighting has soiled him, corrupted a part of him that he thought was pure. Accessing the Reki one more time, hoping that whatever god he once talked to could once again show him a path out of all this conflict, he's shown the briefest vision of a temple, far, far away. And he sets out to find an ancient relic, a trident of unimaginable power. With it, he plots to flood the surface world and force a ceasefire. And I'll end it there, with Tachi heading off for his plans to do whatever with this trident.
After another epic story by Foxy, Luca,
Mm-hmm.
it is your turn.
It has been 98 years. Okay. Peoples have traveled quite far over the world. A girl, a descendant of Maya, steps outside. She lives in, and I consulted the tables for this, she lives in a swamp where moss hangs from the trees. The atmosphere here, because of the swamp, is purple, and it's a beautiful purple moon's rise. And she will walk out into the swamp waters under the two moons. I had their names written down. Nesso and Saren. And she will stand calmly in a pond, very swampy pond, for a long time. listening until she hears a prompting almost. And she will wander, following this prompting, through the swamp until she finds a creature. Hold on, I need to go back to the table. Where was it? No, why are we clapping?
Something
Purple
Chrissy
pill.
said in chat.
Shit.
Luca, I'm a child.
Mm-hmm. I had something here at the tables, and now it's gone. She is going to find a small creature that she is able to form a bond with through her connection to the unseen forces of the world. Some people in a different part of the world may call them Reki. She does not know that name. She just knows that when she goes out and is silent under the light of the moons, she can hear them. And they have led her here to this small, sprightly creature, and it will leave a sort of after image in the light of the moons wherever it goes, as if it is not quite here, but instead almost like an aspect of these unseen forces, and she will form a bond with it. And through this creature, she is able to feel more connected to the unseen forces of the world. She can almost see the ley lines throughout the world. She can feel the deposits of ore that she would need for her village to create the right tools. She can sing to a tree and it will fall over, giving up its wood for the creation of a new house. And she learns almost not so much a magic, but a harmony with the world through this connection, to where it doesn't, she's not fighting against the world, she's not fighting against the magics, but she is able to progress with her people through living with the world. And that's my turn. Oh, her name is
Say, what was her name? Seti?
Seti, C-E-T-I.
48, and I'm gonna use the magic one as well, I think. Interesting. So Wraith was the magical effect that's going on. And it's been 48 years since Seti found this creature in this lake, and communed with it, and found a greater connection to the world. I think at some point in her life, she found someone and eventually had a child, and this young boy was born. And I need a name if anyone wants to shoot me one. But Seti raised this boy, and they lived out there in the swamp.
Sagan.
Sagan. I like that. Sagan. Cool. I just realized what you did there.
Every chance I get.
Yeah. So Seti raised Sagan to also be kind of connected with this world and to have a connection for others, and introduced him to this spirit that lived in the lake. That's which, as it kind of developed more, as the connection developed more, this spirit also developed more, this Reki. And the spirit eventually, when the boy was 12. Sagan was 12. The spirit called out to him to come into the lake with the spirit, while Seti was gone, and he rode out there into the lake, and in this pool, the creature this wraith kind of drove its hand down and its spirit down, and it pulled out a sword, and it handed the sword to Sagan and said, "With this, there's great suffering in the world. You can find a way to end it." And sends him out on a quest for his life. He takes some time, goes out, finds other people, and other people begin to recognize that this is the sword of Tuxton from ages past, and that this boy is destined to be king and ruler of everything, or at least that's what they tell him. They tell him he should go to war, he should do all these things. But the teachings of Seti prevail, and he learns of these shark people and the city of Bargopolis, and he travels there as well and makes peace with them as well, the same way Tuxton did before. And he buries the sword again and lives out the rest of his life back in the swamp. And that will be my turn.
All right.
Yours was it again?
It was 48.
48. Oh, I'm
Yep.
so close. Okay.
Sorry.
So I'm going to roll on the characters table as well. And I got a 54. And a 54 on the character table is an accountant.
Love it.
So this is great. So, the reality is that somebody has to fund all of these wild expenditures and all of these ventures that Sagan is going on. And as he is kind of watching the money, and as Sagan is coming in and out of his shop, touching base with him on a regular basis, and telling him about all these wondrous places and all of these amazing things that he's seeing, what is normally a very mundane or viewed as a very mundane job becomes very extraordinary. And the accountant, if I could get whatever gender, non-binary, whatever, I'll take a name for our accountant friend.
Laverne.
He starts Vern.
I said Laverne, but either works.
Laverne. Okay, we'll go with Laverne. Laverne starts to set aside and write down not just the financial aspects of Sagan's travels, but also of his life. And they become kind of a untold historian from a perspective of this is this very, I'm going to use the phrase human because I don't know if we ever assigned a name to what these people are, but what we know as a very human person, very easy to speak to, very good person. He is actually full of very magical and wonderful things, and not magical in a sense of, oh, I can change elements or, oh, I can do all of these things, but just his personality and effervescence and just who he is as a person is just extraordinary and magical. And just understanding and documenting all of that importance, in the importance of what seems to be an everyday person doing extraordinary and wonderful things. That's all.
That's me.
That's you.
Okay, let's see how many years have passed, y'all. 4. 4 years.
The great old year of 801.
Yeah. So in the mountains where Tawe and his armies cast down the great primordial beasts, things had begun to fester. Deep inside the rotting corpses, trapped between the mountains and other debris of the universe, darkness sat and fumed. Violence and anger stewing in perpetual cycle of itself over and over and over, removed from all creation, and just anger. And from this anger and from this chaos and from this black emerged a consciousness, a being. I need a guttural sounding name. And from that emerged this being and other beings like it. And they became perfect, Gerthu. And Gerthu and its kind. It wasn't human. It was monstrosities, right? They emerged from the rotting corpses of these creatures and came from the north to sweep down in the valley and spread their hate. For that is all they've ever known. Hate and darkness and violence. They struck down from the mountains, hell-bent on destroying a world that they could not understand. And thus began the conflict of the civilizations that existed. And these beings born merely the darker side of creation. While these other civilizations grew to build and grow, this one was there to destroy and insert conflict.
What did you call this creature again?
Let me get the spelling really quick from chat. It was Gerthu, GIR-THU.
For
Cool.
context, it means rotted in a Maori dialect.
And we'll just call them, let's just call him, this might be from freaking, I don't know. This sounds like something that already exists, but Grex. Let's call this group of beings Grex.
Cool. My players are all in chat telling me how excited they are to play this game, and I'm literally here like almost crying because you're all enjoying it, which is shocking. This next round, I want to try each of the optional features in turn. So for this...
Can we take a quick break, maybe?
Oh, it's 9:30. Yeah, totally. Let's take a 10-15 minute break and get drinks and snacks and use the bathroom. We will be back shortly. Thank you for remembering that, Purple, because I'm just like, Well, hello and welcome back to a playtest of a game that I wrote called Generational, a story about stories. We're going to change things up real quick. Actually, we're not going to do what I wrote on the timeline, so just ignore that. We are going to go through 3 of the optional features that I've written into the game so far. They're in the appendices. They're known as the characters, magic, and the planet. It was for a while called It's Not Just a Boulder, It's a Rock. But we're starting with that one. In this round of the game, we're going to use the ages, we're going to use the years, and we're also going to use Appendix D, the planet. Every time you roll your year die, you're going to use that number to describe something about the world we've created thus far. So whether it's a river, whether it's a mountain, whether it's a city, you're going to describe something on the planet, not the people in it. And these could be shorter just because they're not specifically about a story of itself. But if it is about a story of something happening there, go for it. So I'm first. I'll roll my D100 real quick. If someone wants to roll a D100 in chat for the age, I will also appreciate that. Oh, God. Oh, God.
I believe in
I
you.
knew it was gonna happen. I knew it. I knew it.
Okay. I wasn't expecting this, but it's fine. There is a very specific rule that I mentioned at the very beginning of the game. It is called once in a generation. This is not going to work very well for the planet, but we're going to make it happen anyway. And just because it's a weird round, let's say that this will take place next round when we're talking about characters again. However, I'm still going to choose a place. So sorry, I rolled a 100, which means I'm once in a generational. If you're playing with characters, that means that your character is influential for the entire next round. Since we're doing places right now, let's forget about that for right now. But this place will become influential and very important for all the characters next round. I knew that was going to happen because why the fuck wouldn't it? Let me read my own rules real quick. Appendix D. Oh no. Oh no.
Did you look at the place on the planet?
I'm so happy right now.
So, I rolled a 100. 100 years have passed. It is now year 901. And the geological feature that I have to talk about is a black hole. I did this to myself, y'all, but it's okay. Let's get some spookier music, though, because this is not nearly the right
This is
vibe.
pretty chill for influential black hole.
Yeah. Point of singularity.
The year is 901. Grex have nearly taken over the planet. Cities have crumbled and are mere villages, and people roam the land, scavenging for anything that they can use to fight against the Grex. Horrible creatures created of darkness and death. And then things get worse. Above the planet, behind the sun, blackness is spreading. The stars that people have looked to for hundreds of years seem to start blinking out in the night. And deep, far away in space is a black hole that is sucking up the universe. The planet shakes, and people everywhere, above and below land, feel as the earth begins to rumble. Drea has woken from her centuries-long sleep and is distraught to look out above her planet and see the darkness approaching. She leaves her world behind, bringing her magic with it. And only small dregs, either captured by its people or caught in a crevasse, are where magic remains. But she leaves the world behind to face the darkness. I think that's a good round. And once again, I've landed right at the end of a song.
Well done.
Very
Killer.
good.
Perfect timing. Masterwork, really.
Timing.
I guess that means I'm up.
Perfect.
Here we go. Here comes a roll. That's a 72. So it's been 72 years, and would you look at that, loves? 72 on the planet, or I guess the cosmos now, is Crossroads. And so it is now, I guess, the year 973. Almost a full centuries since the Eternal Maw, the collective colloquial name given to this all-consuming black hole that's been discovered in the corner of the universe. Predictions range anywhere from several thousand decades to the next 100 years before it will eventually swallow whole all that this universe has come to know, leaving only blackness left. Its torrential trappings and snappings, the ever maw of the universe, ripping all information, light, and goodness into it bit by bit, day by day, does not just shake the stars themselves, it shakes reality. And deep beneath the oceans, in the darkest places of on this world, the places where Dryia herself didn't look when she shaped this incredible world. Places so black and so dark that to merely glance upon them rends a mortal mind asunder. A darker reality begins to seep into ours, a dead, cancer-like thing that consumes all that is matter in our universe, drags it and dredges it into something sick and corrupt. There are these places hidden deep within our planet where an ancient enemy, older even than the goddess herself, is beginning to stir, using this Evermaw as a way to split open the fabric of our reality, to seep in, to corrupt, and if enough time is gathered without any pushback, to destroy. That's all I got.
Okay. I rolled a 20 on the character.
Nope.
Nope.
You're rolling a 20 on year and then on the planet.
Oh, on the planet. Okay,
We're still
I
doing
thought you
planet.
wanted to use all three. Okay.
No. Let's just planet for this time.
Okay.
Just see how those kind of stories.
65 years.
65 years? Okay.
And then 009 on the planet.
Oh, no, you're using the same one. So how many years did you add? You added 65, I think?
65 years, yes.
So the year is
What am I rolling
1038.
on the planet?
You're
or I'm
using
using
65.
The
Use the same.
roll?
Yes, use the same
'Cause
roll.
it was a once in a generation. I understand
Nope.
now. I'm with it.
Basically, all it is that I want you to roll
No,
as
I don't.
little as possible. So you're just going to use the
Uh-huh.
same number. So
Oh.
year
Yep.
is 1038. And use 65 on
Secret Garden.
the planet. Yep.
Girl, I'm so jealous of your roll right now. I'm so
my.
freaking jealous of this roll.
Little
You're gonna
golden
crush it. I'm
rings.
so
I
excited.
got a really wild idea.
Ugh.
Go for it. Balls to the walls. Let's do this thing.
Okay, so the Grex have all but destroyed this planet. There's darkness seeping in from the center, almost as if from where Dryia left, she created a rip, a tear in the fabric, and this world is on its way out. There are still, as Proper said, pockets remaining of magic, remnants of Drya's energy here. And in a secret garden, descendants of Seti, the people that find themselves to live in harmony with the planet and the Reki, refer to themselves as the kinship. And they have a secret little pocket of this world where they hide from the Grex. But they can feel the darkness seeping in. And one night, a woman named Amalthea walks out and under the two moons reaches out to those unseen forces, though she knows there's only shreds of them left. And she sings to the planet with everything inside her, her small bonded creature next to her, and feels connected with the planet, so much so that through her bond with the Reki, she actually sinks down into the earth. It envelops her, and she can feel the entire planet, what's left of it, as if it is her body. And she reaches out to the molten core at the center of this planet and draws forth all of the metals that she needs from their deposits where they lie under the crust, and pulls them together and sings them forth into these floating, hovering, magnetically charged vessels, where she ushers her people into them and pushes them, convinces them, sings them into magnetic push from the planet out of the orbit to follow Drya into the stars. That's my turn.
Okay.
Sorry, but this planet was doomed. We gotta get the fuck off.
Fair. Could be very interesting how I describe part of the planet now.
Hey, as Foxy said, maybe it's not the planet, maybe it's the cosmos.
Yeah, I
Maybe,
assume these
maybe
tears in
it's a
reality-
different planet.
Yeah, I assume the tears in reality were happening everywhere, not just on the planet. So still weird non-real things creeping into reality. So you got plenty of that going on.
Well, I rolled a 22.
Lovely.
Actually works out really nicely. So it's 22 years, and the place I get to describe in our world is a town. And we're going to call it, I don't know. I need a name. Town name.
God's Fall.
Sure, let's go with that. Let's go.
Just gonna go with that one, I guess. Okay.
Boom, spit it out. I got it. All right. They're on these floating metal rocks, flying through space in search of the goddess Drya, who left before the rest of the world was consumed. The people, the followers of the descendants of Seti and followers and believers in what happened, have made a town on a couple of these rocks, clung together with loose ropes and bands and pieces of metal, and they live on them. And they call their home God's Fall, as it was made as the gods fell from the world that they were on before. And on this island, there lives a large number of people, but there lives a child, a small girl. I need a name. If anyone wants to give me a name.
Riza.
Isa. Perfect. Small girl named Isa. And she lives on this little rock and in this town of people. And as they're traveling through, they have been traveling through this deep, dark space, this maw of black holeness still behind them, still covering all of the night sky. And there seems to be no light in the world but the light from themselves, from God's Fall, from these little hunks of rocks. And on one day, as they're standing there sailing through, Isa sees it. They weren't sure it was there. It took them a while before they even believed her, but there was a faintest bit of light in the distance, of hope that they'd all carried with them, but they'd found it in realization, a new beginning, a new planet to come to and to call home. And in doing so, they travel to it in their ships of this iron metal, and they land on it and call it New Drya. and the name of the goddess that had left them, in hopes that she would return to them as well. And that's where I will leave it for Chrissy to pick up.
Muted. Unmute. I don't want to miss the story.
All right, so I got a 7. Right? So 7 years, and the number 7 on the table is a trench. Sure. Okay. So, as the people are beginning to settle on this new world, they come across a natural, what was probably once underwater but is now just dry land, a deep trench with, on the sides of it is lush greenery, lots of plants and foliage, and every once in a while when they're walking they can see some of the plants have little tiny eyes, and the eyes just follow them as they walk. And as they continue to move, as the eyes follow them, small little creatures and bugs start to come out from underneath the plants and out of the plants themselves to see what these new beings are that are on their planet. And they decide to kind of begin their settlement there inside of this deep kind of wellish trench, protected on both sides with the houses built up and all of their encampments and everything being built up the sides. And as they start to do that, and they're kind of digging their way in and kind of forming these new settlements, they start to find, similar to what they knew from the past, I'm attempting to bring in some of the story rules, what they recognize from their past as flint and kind of like other organic and natural earthen metals and stones. And they begin to kind of just settle in and relax in this new world, waiting for their goddess to show up and present herself. And that's where I'll stop.
All right, that's me. I rolled an 18, so 18 years have passed. And on the planet, I have caverns. And while there's one thing that's true of life, it's that it perseveres. While there are those who turn to the stars and other planets, there are those that are left behind and remain on the Earth, or the planet originally created by Drea, and they go underground. They seek shelter in the underground caverns beneath the surface, burrowing far down from beneath the Grek's influence and the celestial beings that seem to be assailing. They build a new civilization there. These are descendants of Artorias, utilizing the inherent magic that they have within themselves that's grown over time, recognizing that the Reki are kind of stories say that they were dreams of Drea, and if Drea is no longer asleep, then the dreams are no longer being created. Determining that these are a finite resource that should be lost. They also realize that they are ties to the goddess that has left this planet, and there must be clues as to where she went or why she left. And in these caverns, these scholars begin to study and try to understand, creating massive libraries of knowledge as they continue to speak to the Reki, and they continue to speak to each other and look inward to their own magical abilities. And eventually someone stumbles upon an ancient text that talks about how Drea and her friend walked about the earth and gave things names, and they recognize that there is power in naming. And they begin to try and understand what the names are, utilizing the Reki, and they realize that those that left them behind are still connected to them through the dreams of their goddess, the Reki. And they reach out to their brothers and sisters on a planet so far away through the celestial beings, in hopes that while this planet might seem doomed, that they will not abandon their home, as their brother and sisters go out to seek aid.
That was beautiful, everyone. We have now made it around to another...
I
Whoop.
panicked when you rolled black hole. But I feel like we took it and so much better.
I decided to go a little on the
even
deep
imagined.
end and be like, everything's gone.
Yeah, I thought we were going Lovecraftian, so I was riding that wave, you know? I felt like that was...
Oh, it's super fucking dystopian, y'all. Like,
You know,
everybody's underground, just like scavenging magic artifacts, and some random scholar figured out if they spoke the true name to a Reki that someone on another fucking planet would hear them. Like, that's fucking wild.
It's creepy.
Black hole's still there, y'all.
This is I'm going to interject for a hot second, because this is a part of the game that I didn't expect to happen, but works actually exceptionally well, in that if you use the appendices, if you use the tables, it might force your story somewhere you didn't expect. And so we were talking in the break about the ages feature, which is the idea that like what's going on in the planet while your history is going on. And someone said, well, does it make sense to maybe use like a D6 and move up the table as opposed to rolling randomly? And I think it was Sarah who said specifically, like, it's kind of nice that it's random because things don't always make sense. So I think this actually is a really good, like, explanation of why that table makes sense, even if you do roll it randomly, because weird shit can happen anytime, like a fucking black hole. So I think it's really nice that, like, the way the story ended up shaping was like forced by a weird decision by the rolls, which, if you know me, I hate games with a lot of rolls. So I specifically made one with one roll. And so even still, it's like helping shape the narrative, which is really nice.
Like our example too was spaceflight, and then we could just put spaceflight in because there's black hole.
You guys kept talking
made
about
so much
it, and
sense,
it was like,
too.
I want this to happen. How do I make this happen? Let's make this happen.
There you
I
go.
saw it and I was
Now
like,
it's done.
ooh, this is good.
We are going to switch to another one of the appendices. We're going to use Appendix B, characters. So forget the planet, roll your year, and use that year for the character table. I'll start. Also, I've added to the timeline, and this is going to get really annoying, and I'm probably not going to continue doing it, but year 1060 was the year that a new town named God's Fall was created, and I made it year 0 of New Dryia. So you have like two timelines going on at the same time. I started it as after Dryia, but now I think New Dryia makes more sense. So that's like the beginning of their own history, which
I like it.
this game is getting more complicated as it goes on.
And now you have an era system. There you go.
There we go. Crazy. Now I suddenly understand why we decided to switch to, BC AD.
It was simplistic, you know?
Let's try a new song because I'm...
New song.
True Projection. That sounds cool.
Oh, I love this one. It's a slap.
Yeah, what's going on? Why is it not playing?
Yeah, it's my favorite. This track.
There we go. Oh, nope. It doesn't like that one, I guess.
You get like the preview. It's like 4 seconds of the song.
I rolled a 39. The year is now 1124. And 39 on the character table is scapegoat. Oh, God. I keep
Dun,
rolling
dun.
the rough ones. Wow. Okay.
I mean, I got a trench.
You're fine.
Listen, I mean,
trench
some
was
of us are
beautiful.
born in the trenches, you know?
Also, Chrissy, you do have +2s if you want to use them in the next couple of rounds. And I think Foxy has an advantage, which just means roll it twice and pick whichever one you prefer.
I will make sure to use that next time.
You don't have to use it anytime, but you know, if you want to. Scapegoat. Oof, I need to think of something real quick. Can someone give me a man's name real quick? Or any name, really?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. The most English name we've seen all night long.
We were
Such a good
throwing out some
scapegoat
high
name.
fantasy, and I was like, let's just
Hey,
keep
we
it
had a
real.
Vladimir earlier. That's not that bad.
Yeah, that is sort of European. I'm
It's a
not
little
sure.
Slavic, you know?
A little Slavic. I just want to point out real quick. Year 1067. There is a trench, and it's got plants with eyes in flint. Anyway, Jonathan in the year 1124. Jonathan grew up in one of the caves deep below the earth of Dryan, which is what Lucas decided we're going to call the original planet.
If we're doing new Dryad, then I thought it should be
Yeah,
referential
makes sense.
for the old one, right?
Makes sense,
I
yeah.
don't know.
They would have come up at some point. Jonathan was unfortunately a nobody. He wasn't very good in school. He wasn't very strong. He wasn't good at scavenging. And magic just wasn't his strong point. And so he didn't know where he belonged. And when he grew up and became an adult, he decided to wander the caverns. And wander he did. And as he wandered, he finds a font of Chrysidian magic that the world did not know existed yet. And so, feeling disconnected with his people, he keeps this knowledge away from them and visits the font of magic. Though it be small and can't do much, he shapes it as his own. And as the years go by, the font takes on a new shape. It becomes a creature in its own. Not necessarily intelligent yet, but Jonathan keeps visiting the font and gives it its own name. Jonathan Jr., he calls it, for many, many years. And as his civilization grows in the caverns, they start to encroach upon his secret place where Jonathan Jr. lives. And feeling that tension, Jonathan Jr. rears back and stampedes into the city, causing havoc. The magic within him is contorted by the fear and the confusion that Jonathan held within him for all those years. And it is soon that the entire city is destroyed. People are still alive, but the lives they've built for so long are in ruins. And so they cast out Jonathan into the world, and they destroy the only remaining font of magic that they know of by destroying the creature. And so Jonathan leaves the caverns and attempts to make his way across a world that is covered by dreck and watches in the inky blackness that is now the sky Sure, there are days, but nights are pitch black, and he has been cast away from his home. It is your turn,
Okay.
Foxy.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna roll twice and take the one I like from this advantage table here. All right, that's a 22, so I'm gonna roll again, and that's a 1. We're gonna keep that one. Okay, so
That's a
one
once in a
means it's been
generation, yeah?
Yeah, once in a generation, yeah. And that means it's only been a single year.
No, I think it always becomes 100.
It has been
Okay.
100 years since the last one.
Okay. 100 years. 100 years, once in a generation, important person. All right, let me cook for a second. Let me cook.
And I forget exactly what I say. Oh, just roll another D100 if you want to choose a character, or do whatever you like.
Let me see. I got it. All right. Whew. Okay, here we go. All right, so exiled from the only life he had ever known for a mistake that he didn't intend to make. The day of his infamy living on in long annals of history as a catastrophic day of so much death and destruction. Jonathan is outcast from his society and lives the rest of his fetid existence running from the pitch blackness of the night, and dies effectively alone and sad. For the longest time, what remains of him, that essence of him, floats about in this etheric nothingness, simply existing amidst the pitch black of the night. And for many years, this goes on. People simply picking about the wastes of these great cavernous cities, hiding from both the Grek and also these eldritch things coming up from the outer worlds as that explosion of great magic from Jonathan Jr. set about these cities that have been hiding from this, this incursion from the greater beyond. They have been hiding from this from so long. They now suddenly have these creatures, these non-things besetting them from all directions. These societies live the next 100 years in turmoil, spending every single waking moment of their days hiding and fighting and begging for survival from whatever things that are so foul they shatter the very notion of sanity. This lasts for an age of uncounted godlessness, until finally another young boy, actually, you know what, we'll go with a young girl, following in the histories of her people, because we all know that history doesn't seem to happen one and done. It often repeats itself. It's cyclical. So this young girl once again ventures away from her people, heading off into the great night to see the things beyond, and she too finds a well of immense, ancient, primordial magical power, something life-giving. And she takes a moment to approach this, not reaching out to her people, not telling anyone else about this, knowing the tales that have been told of the time, of the great catastrophes that led to the destruction of her people and the incursion. She approaches this magical light when a voice calls out to her, speaking to every part of her existence. Step forward, child. And as she does, light surrounds her in every notion, a warm, soothing sensation that closes wounds and heals the soul. This blinding light surrounds this little girl whose name has been so far lost to all this time now. And in front of her appears a stunning figure, almost as if cut from marble. He is imposing, standing tall and proud, a spear of golden twilight held in one hand and a great beast's rent head in the other. Talway stands before, his flaming hair alight in the sun against this woman's glowing face, and he says, "Gather your kin and follow me, and I will bring you to my sister." And that is all I got.
So that means, Foxy, please do add the information about that story into the timeline, because
I'm on it.
Because that character is now a once-in-a-generation character that is going to affect everyone else's stories until it's your turn again.
And I am still rolling on the character
Correct.
table. A 94. Performer. Okay.
94 is a farmer?
No, performer.
Oh, performer.
Right?
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't looking at it.
Oh, I was worried I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay. Oh, God. Our performer's name is Antares. And I'm gonna need some inspiration for whether they are on Dryan or New Drya.
Roll a D2.
I was gonna say roll a d2, but I'm gonna vote New Drya.
Oh, yeah, I would
New
vote New
Dryad?
Dryad too, yeah.
Okay. Okay. The eyes of these plants. And Antares was out in that trench one day. And it's been 94 years. However, most of the villages have been established away from this trench because it's difficult to build a village in a trench. However, Antares has been walking through this trench, exploring the world, looking for inspiration because they want to tell stories. They want to lift people up in a way to further connect them to each other and this new world. And so they are walking through this trench and they notice these eyes following them. And they walk through and they return again the second day to see if the same thing happens. And they realize that if they continue to return to this place every day and the eyes follow them, eventually, after returning many times, the eyes will pop up out of the ground and are these little plant-like creatures that follow Antares. And Antares the performer is hanging out with these creatures. They've abandoned their performing duties and comes every day to these creatures because when they are nearby them and encircled by them, they feel connected to this planet. And one day while laying in the bottom of this trench, surrounded by sleeping little plant-like creatures, eyes closed, they will hear something call out to them. A voice from a person far away, speaking as if very slow, as if distorted by time and the gravity of that black hole, that singularity that is so nearby that old planet. They hear the voices of these cavern dwellers. And do we have a name yet, Foxy? I'm checking the document to see what your character's name
the
is.
Little one? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You know what? I should probably give me.
I'm just sitting kind of stalling.
Luca?
I got it.
Luca?
I got it.
Okay, that works too. I was gonna say, Luca, you can just make one if you didn't have one, but that's fine.
I wasn't sure if he had already said it.
That's fine too.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay, name dress. Okay. And Antares will actually leave these sleeping creatures and run back to their village, speaking about how they can hear the old planet. They can hear the old peoples. And as they are gathering their peoples around them, telling them that they felt the old world, they heard the old people, a light will appear on the ground and spring forth a point of connection from this world to that one, and a young girl will step through. Her name is Draz. That is my character Antares.
Okay. I will make a roll. 35. So 35 years will have passed, and 35 is a business person. A business person. Um, 35 years have passed since Draz and the other survivors that had lived on Drea still in the caverns had emerged through a portal and brought to New Drea. They traveled through and were brought there and began prospering on New Drea, trying to find ways to make their lives, rebuild their cities, and join up with all of the new people that had lived there. I guess old people for some, as they had traveled from the same place originally. They built their cities and prepared for the oncoming black hole that still loomed over their sky, a constant reminder of the shortness that life was and its inescapability of this destruction that loomed overhead. But they lived on. And as they did, there was a woman named Gwendolyn who started up a business of her own, selling flint and other small magical items that could help people grow and connect themselves with Drea and the world. And she went through finding all of these things, selling them, collecting items, papers, and eventually she found a series of notes taken by one Laverne. And in them, she found these tellings of a great hero named Sagan and his work with the shark people of Bogopolis. And as she did, she learned also of other notes of the originating of the Arcturans, of Arcturus. And in doing so, she found a way to connect what was happening and perhaps prevent it. Through these people, there turns to be 4 magical items that they all had of significant power. Arcanus' staff, Gwen's flint, which she had added extra materials on that no one else has replicated yet. The sword of Tuxton the King, who eventually put it to rest to make peace, and Taki's trident, which could drown the world. Combined together, there may be a chance that they could overwhelm this black hole and return peace back to their own world. But as a businesswoman, she was not able to find anything else, or a way to use this, but she brought the information out for others to find a way. And that is where I will leave my story.
Chrissy.
Okay. That was so good. Also, fucking Laverne. So my internet is a little bit spotty right now, so if it cuts out, Sarah, feel free to hop in.
Gotcha, friend.
And take over. Okay, so let me roll real quick. All right, so I got a 22. A critic. Okay. Okay.
I mean, everyone's a critic, right?
Damn it, I made that joke, but I was muted. Fuck, Purple. God damn it. Damn it.
What was the year number?
How many years are we adding? 22.
Thank you, 22.
So 22 years have passed?
Yep.
So, I'm reading the notes, and I just want to make sure I don't, kind of the same way Luca did. Purple, you did not say what type of business that was, correct?
She sold magic items. She collected flint and
Magic
stuff.
items.
Yep.
Okay, that's right. That's how she got all of them. Okay, so and okay, yeah. So I need the name, a male name, please.
Pike.
Pike. Okay, so there's one afternoon when Pike makes his way into Gwendolyn's magic item shop, and he is wearing very staunch cotton kind of fibered clothing, with very simple pinstriping throughout. Not too ornate, nothing too overzealous or too gaudy, kind of giving off a sort of pious feel. And he finds his way into Gwendolyn's shop, and as he is walking through and finding all of these different items, he's picking up the necklace and seeing the sword. He's making small comments about how none of this makes any logical sense as to how this is not how worlds are created, and this is not what he knows. And he believes fully that people are capable of doing these things just themselves without magic and without gods, and that the most useful thing that was there in the shop was the piece of flint. And he kind of makes sure to straighten his robes and kind of brush them off. And he picks up the sword, kind of holding it in his hands, and allows it kind of just to, at the very tip of his finger, draw just a little bit of blood, pressing just hard enough. And he turns to Gwendolyn and says that, humans bleed for each other. We bleed for each other. The gods, they abandon us. And turns around and walks out.
I rolled the sex number, and I'm very pleased at it.
Nice?
Yes, correct.
Nice.
So
Okay.
it's been 69 years. And I just need a name. I'm ready to rock and roll with it. But this
Solar.
Solar is on the old planet, working in sex work, which is a noble profession among these people, as they are forced underground away from the light of sun, and so they have to turn to find connection and meaning and purpose in each other. And Solar does this work. However, they can't shake the feeling that something is missing and something isn't right. And through their own kind of unsettledness, they begin to kind of reach out, look out, try to make sense of what is missing. Through that, they learn of Gwendolyn's kind of prophecy, so to speak, and learns of Antares. Well, learns of rumors of a connection to those that have left. And Solar says, fuck it. If the people of this world, they're not going to wait for other people to decide to save them like they're gonna do it. The chosen aren't showing up, and the deities aren't doing what's supposed to happen, and the gods have abandoned us. So what? So Solar goes out into the people and summons 4 others to take up and find the artifacts of creation itself. And through this and the last wavering moments of Reki on the planet, it tells Solar to go to a place, a font, and there they will find the power of creation itself. And Solar and their fellow champions, Solar wielding the sword of Tuxton as well as they can, go to the font where Jonathan Jr. Once was, and they stand and Solar reaches out, and much in the same way that I believe it was Issa sang them off the planet, Solar sings, trying to connect to something greater. Through that song, from the font, an image of a young girl, Draz, emerges, and a bright light shines that connects the heart of Drya and New Drya. And Solar and these 4 chosen step into the light to be transported towards this black hole, this pit of darkness where nothing can escape, and step out into the unknown to close the threat and save existence. Flanked on each side by Drya and Tawe, the spirit of connection, of naming, of purpose, and the one of chaos and striving and conquering into the darkness. And no one knows what happens, but what they do know is that there is a rift in space and time, and these 2 planets are jolted together, the black hole replaced, as Drya is now orbited by New Drya, and those that were separated are now reconnected through song and through heroics. The black hole no more.
For our very last round of the night, because I would like to wrap up soon, we are going to play with the Magic Characters table. I rolled a square 50, which is pretty nice. The year is now 1494.
Truly, this is the dankest dungeon.
Mr. Saito just donated some money. Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Saito.
Saito, thank you so much. You're incredible.
Wait,
Just
what-
as a side note, so you know how dope this is, for the month of June, we're putting money towards Pride. I forgot the exact charity. I'm hoping
Trevor
someone can
Project.
help me. Thank you, the Trevor Project. So thank you,
kill
Mr. Saito, for like making a better difference in the world. We appreciate the shit out of you.
We most certainly do. I mean, he was like, "Hey, when's a good time to donate?" And I was like, "Now's a good time." Even I didn't expect that. Thank you very, very, very much. Oh no,
What did you roll?
50 is a goblin.
Fuck yeah.
Love it.
No, bro. Yes, please do. Because we still got the freaking Grek that we need to like sort out. Do it.
Still on Dryan.
There are still Grek out there, Grekin.
The year is 1494, and the planets have been rejoined for 50 years. However, the connection between two completely alien worlds has brought not just people separated back together, but new life to new planets that would have never been there to begin with. And so from the New Drea comes a group of people that will eventually come to call themselves goblins. And they look very different from the Drean people, but and they are kind of quiet and mischievous, and they like pulling pranks, but they are a community in and of themselves. And can someone give me a goblin name? Because I'm gonna make them the hero.
Maudlin.
Roblin.
Horshaka.
Because I couldn't hear Foxy or Luca, I'll say Horshaka.
That's the better name
Yes.
anyway. Let's go with that.
I tried to
Maudlin,
get
the
your
emotional
name in there,
goblin.
Sir Heck. I'm sorry.
I know it.
Horshaka, known to his friends as Shaka, sees the people from this planet come back together again and is really, really inspired by them, and hears stories of these humans with their 4 mystical heroes, and he wants to be a goblin hero, and he sees the problems this world has. The Grek, this awful, terrible monster that roams the land still. There may not be a black hole that rips apart the universe, but these creatures are still rampant. And so he gathers his clan together and says, we are now new citizens of this world. Let's make it a world that we can thrive on. And together with his clan, he roams out into the world, and soon his name is one that everyone, no matter their race or their origin, knows. Shrak the Conqueror, Shrak the Good, Shrak the Light. And he fights valiantly against the Grek, and people of all ages join him in his fight across the land. Tyrant, don't you dare. Don't you dare. I forgot the name. Anyway, he dies valiantly, and his people give him a send-off that is traditional to them. They take one of the metal cores from the New Drea, or as they called it, Siccus. Their home planet, Siccus. They take one of the metal canisters and send him off into space. That was kind of a weird story because I'm doing like 7 things at once, but I think what was his name? What was his real name?
Horshaka.
Horshaka and Shaka.
Shaka.
Yep. Okay. There we go.
Oh man, that was great. I'm gonna roll now. On the table. Getting is that a 99? Really? Okay, sure. Awesome. We'll take a 99, I guess. Which according to our table of magical thingamabobs, is a producer. Like Metro Boomin, or like, okay, you know what? I'll figure it out.
No, on the magic table.
Oh, on the wrong table? Yep, I sure am. That makes it actually.
Swashbuckler.
Oh, that's even cooler. All right, here we go. Also, it's been 99 years. So, time has passed, and a tradition is built up amongst the peoples of Dryan and New Drya. There is this sort of exchange of culture and ideas and beliefs from the past towards the present. The people of Dryan keeping to their cultural heritages and beliefs that they have held and traditions they have kept for generations now, and the people of New Dryan being fiercely innovative and always believing in pushing the envelope and trying new things and always seeking new and bold solutions to problems. This cultural trade goes on for 99 years, this constant back and forth. And amongst the people of Dryan on the planet, one of the ways they believe is best to deal with the Gek is that every now and then, an individual is put through this sort of gladiatorial conflict with other fighters, other notable champions. And in the end, a sort of selection of champions is chosen to inherit a great potent weapon, an ancient weapon believed to have been wielded by several great kings of the past, including some of the ones we've mentioned previously. And they take that weapon and lead a valiant charge to go assault the Gek and try to drive them back away from this planet. And every time this happens, this tends to fail, just tends to fall apart. That great champion dies valiantly in battle. The sword is recovered, placed again, another name etched on the wall of champions, and it just moves on. Until this one individual by the name of... chat, why don't you pitch me a name real quick? Give me a male name if you can, chat. Give me a quick little man name if you got one for me. A dude name? Any guys being dudes name, chat? Anybody? Or my other players, you guys can help me out too.
Giuseppe.
Zeppi works. So Zeppi, who originally sort of starts off, just grows up kind of on the sidelines, not really doing too much, spends this, not very well, super well skilled, but could talk his way out of a problem any way he had to. And if he could never talk his way out of a problem, he'd fight his way out of it. Whatever he had around him, whether it was bashing someone in the head with a bottle during a bar fight, throwing some sand in someone's eye outside in the playground, whatever he could to do, he would get out of it. He would use to get out of his fight. And that became sort of his noted trait. Using this, he became sort of a living outside of the law kind of guy, a bit of a criminal, bit of a grifter, living outside of the law, until eventually he had a bit of a job go wrong. A robbery went poor. He was captured by some guards and thrown accidentally into the gladiatorial pits, where, well, he did the one thing he knew how to do: fight his way out of all his problems, swashbuckle and play unfair. And despite breaking pretty much every rule of the gladiatorial combat, this individual, Zeppi, who ended up going by the code name Lynx after all his time in the pits, won. He became the champion. And it gets everyone saying, like, this weirdo, this nobody, this outsider, there's no way he'll lead a charge. He'll die on his first battle, no question. And so he picked up the sword of these ancient kings, and using that tenacity, that raw desire to simply not be defeated, charged forward with a battalion of soldiers by his side, and battle after battle began to fight back the Grek. Each and every one of them came with people thinking that he would die here, that this was it for him. His legend would just end here. And every single time, through that sheer grit, he would scratch back home by the skin of his teeth, that sword being held in bloody, tired hands. And you know what? That's all I got.
Luca.
I am rolling on the thing. A 55. Hold on. 55 is an artist.
Artist. Hell yeah, girl.
Okay. An artist with the leaving of Shaka into the unknown. And now that the celestial bodies of both of these planets have been pulled together, harmony is once again available. And the singers, these artists of the kinship, are able to reconnect once again to the dreams of Drya. And they are able to sing forth from the centers of these worlds, now again infused with magic, and send forth Shaka into the stars, and send forth others out to find other celestial bodies. And in this new age of our two planets coming back together, they're able to create a sort of spreading out across the universe, spreading Dryas' dreams into the stars. And that's all I got.
Okay.
Purple,
Gotta roll.
purple, purple.
43.
That's a warrior, dog.
That's a warrior. All right. I'm gonna take a name from chat that was already put down. But if someone wants to throw in another one, I have a secondary character. So if someone gives me name in chat, I will use it. But we're gonna start out with the main character. Is gonna be Dirge. Kind of very similar. Was grown up in these gladiatory pits and became this fierce warrior that proved to be stronger than all of the others. In the gladiatory pits, won several fights, and he eventually was sent out to lead a raid on the Grix on the original planet of Dryan. He took along with him a friend, a healer named Armin, who followed him into battle everywhere he went. And the two of them went forth back to Dryan and reclaimed a vast amount of land from the Grix, driving them back to their original spawning pool of primordial ooze, where their original primordial creature first killed by looks at notes to remember pronunciation, Treyu. And
Trawe?
with that, Trawe.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Oh, Tawe, sorry. Even I can't say it right. Tawe.
And with his power and his friend at his back, the two of them are able to put at ease the Grex and leave the planet cleansed and ready to be fully regrown. And that's what my story was.
Okay. So with the, I'm gonna add in, I did it on the last one, I'll do it again on this one. I'll add the +2. I rolled a 20, so a 22. Pyromancer.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay. So as peace and the world is starting to become united and simple and things are going beautiful and wonderful, there is a small infant child, genderless, you can't tell, or there's no discerning features one way or the other. And as they are sitting there on the ground, playing with their toys and laughing and giggling, just fully enjoying, infanthood and all there is to the innocence of childhood, they take their hands and clap them together, and as they clap them together, out of their fingertips rises 2 small flames. And the child, not knowing what is going on, pulls its hands away, looking for an adult to explain the phenomenon. You can see behind their eyes just the glint of something very dark and very dangerous. And that's it.
Well, fuck me up, fam. Jesus. I was here. I was like, yeah, I love this. And then I was like, oh, God. All right. Let's see what we got. We got a 19. which is a construct. So it's 19 years later. Through I've got to go back. Luca, remind me your artist's name. Was there not a name?
The artist formerly known as
my singer. We'll
Yes.
do Andromeda.
So Andromeda, combining the new planets and recognizing that they could will into existence new dreams, right? That this wasn't what happened is there was additional study of the Reki, though by this point, whether or not anyone acknowledges that that's what it is, they aren't certain. But what they start to do is imbue Reki into constructs, taking that magical power and imbuing it into great machines that as the world is being reclaimed by the Grek and its influence, these towering constructs stand at city walls to protect civilization. And over time, there's one construct in particular where there is the singer who imbues the construct with its Reki didn't sleep so well the night before and mixes up some of the words and accidentally imbues this construct with free will. And the construct opens its eyes on a new world imbued with a life force from the planet itself, and begins to watch and learn and judge the creation around it, ultimately deciding that what is happening now was not the original intent of its source, but not understanding, like there's confusion in it, and it turns to the ones that created it, who immediately go, "You're not supposed to be able to do this," and it's cast out into the wilds, where it begins to try and understand the creation anew and try to figure out where the dreams and the purpose of Reki went wrong, so to speak. And over time, word spreads of this sentient construct, and people gather to its cause. And that's it.
And with that, I say we take this playtest to a close. You've all told some amazing stories. Do you want me to do the conclusion now, or after we're done talking about the system a little bit?
I want to talk about the system a little bit. I can't wait no more.
Yes,
I want to
same.
talk about it.
Let's talk
it so
about
bad.
what just happened, what you felt, and how you think the system went. If you want to give some constructive feedback, feel free. I have my pen ready. But it seems like you really enjoyed what you played tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to go in order. Just shout whenever.
Yeah, okay,
I
so
would
I'm
play this with all my friends all the time.
Yeah, that.
we talked about it on break, but like this is such a fucking cool exercise, and like it's fun to like take and pull. Like one of my favorite things was to scroll back in the timeline and be like, oh yeah, and then like pull stuff forward. Like Purple, you and I were same wavelength with that artifact, because like guess who's gonna find a motherfucking sword, and then you beat me to the punch. I was like, yeah, like it's just the engagement and watching everybody's faces light up when somebody referenced something that they had established before and to increase the ante. Like, 110% every homebrew, anything I do from now on, this is a session 0 must with my players. So like to play with them so we can like create everything about it. I loved the respectful nature of it. I loved how things like it's truly a yes and game. The tables are phenomenal for giving you a different perspective. Like, y'all, a sex worker saved the world. That's fucking dope as hell. Like it's just very cool. I just
thought
like
the
it a bunch.
tables would actually be like I was resistant to using tables. It's like, no, let's just go. Like, let's just do this. Like, we only use tables if we need them. But then actually, like, no, let's use the tables. And then we got that black. Like, it forced us to, instead of just kind of like, it was fun at first, just kind of like almost bullshit. Like, just kind of going around creating little things. And then, like, once we started getting the tables, it was like, no, you've got to like come up with it now. You have to create this. Your whole world just got black holed. What are you gonna do? So like while I was like resistant to using the tables at first, I actually thought it helped us like push the story forward almost.
I say it like 9 times in the rules that literally every single rule in this game is technically optional. You can use as much of it as you like or as little as you want. And I said basically the same thing you said, Luca, during the break. I was like, I didn't expect a black hole to come up, but like it like forced the story in a very different way than I was expecting it to go. So I really appreciated that. Anyone else? Foxy?
Yeah, I am a really big fan of how much enforced collaboration there is in this. The way like, again, like in order to get the maximum experience out of this, you almost like have to be able to pull back and focus on the things people mentioned previously. And like that one requires a really important deal of like table focus, where it's like, it's not like a D&D combat session where you can just like, you know, zone out until it's your turn again. You have to stay focused for everyone else's story building to keep building up on the narrative. And I think that's like, it's really attention grabbing. And I appreciate that a lot. And also like as a GM who like spends a lot of his time like creating like shells of worlds and then saying like, okay, what things do you guys want? Where can I fit them in here? I enjoy this as almost like a step back from that, where for a brief bit, no matter what system or game or universe you're building, you can separate that line between storyteller and player and have everyone just contribute parts of this universe and create something that like one player or all the players can collaborate and work on with. I don't know. I really enjoy that sort of like that stepping back and that separation of that layer. I quite enjoy that a fair bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, it's like everyone else said, I plan on using this a lot when I do more homebrew stuff in the future.
I really appreciated the way that all of you you came into this, I could tell, having no clue what this was going to look like. You had no idea what was going to happen. You read the rules and you were like, I kind of get it. And you asked me lots of questions and I was like, do whatever you want. And one of the things that you mentioned a couple times just now is the like pulling back from other areas. Like you're invested in the story. And so like, what can you take from what was just given to you? And something that I wrote in the rules that I really enjoy this paragraph, so I'm going to read it out loud. I wrote twice because it makes sense when you read it. This section is called History Repeats Itself. Humans are notoriously bad at remembering the lessons that their ancestors learned, especially if it wasn't written down, came well before its time, pushed too many boundaries, or simply has been too long that old philosophies have come back in style. The people who inhabit your world will probably do the same. Sometimes stories repeat themselves, and in this way, your group can highlight important stories or influential themes.
Yeah.
Always consider the stories that came before yours. And the next section is the same exact thing because I love a good pun. And so I really appreciate that you guys did that pretty continually, that you didn't just kind of go off and do your own stuff, but you like took little bits and pieces and like made that part of the overall story of this world. I really appreciated that.
I think that's the spirit of the game. Like it's generational, right? It's like it is pulling like the influence of like what came before. And I feel like each round, like someone introduced a new concept or multiple people would introduce a new concept. So it was always building, but always tying back. And I think like I said it again on the break because I was too excited to wait to talk about it. But the commonality of language, it gave us all a similar like tool set to sit down and like play together. And like, that's all this is we just sat down and we said, here's the framework we're going to play in. Let's just fucking play. And I loved it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like how the system kind of has its, I kind of mentioned this during the break as well, is that it has these built-in turns, and the way it is you just tell a story. Everyone is equal ownership of everything we made tonight, because we all got equal chance to just put our thoughts into the world and add things. And I really like, I'm personally a person that loves making connections back, so that's a lot of times where I really love the being able to call back to other things I had done, other people had done, and pull those things in, like Point and Laverne's note-taking as a way to learn back from the history. I thought that was, not to toot my own horn, but I thought that was pretty cool. No.
It was so good.
It was very well done.
But yeah, I think that's really great. And then the other thing is, like, as we mentioned before, like the tables, one of the things that I think is really good about them is sometimes putting yourself in a bit of a box lets you be more creative inside the box. I know sometimes it's great to work outside the box, and it's really good at the beginning to just have an open canvas and put stuff down. But when you kind of have this thing that you rolled on that you have to work off of, it gives you like a grounding point to just sprout from there and make whatever story you're going to go from there. And a lot of times it's kind of fun also making that connection between what you had there and how to connect it back to something that already happened. So I'm a huge fan.
I must say that I put the tables in to be an aid, and that was definitely an unexpected consequence. What is it? What do the programmers say? It's a feature, not a bug. And so basically the idea was that, like, hey, you're telling a lot of stories. You may just run out at some point, which, knowing y'all, unlikely. But you probably could have just kept going. But they were put in because I was like, if you're telling a story and you are like, I have no clue what to say next, you can roll on a table and just be like, okay, I'm gonna tell a story of a businessman. And like that was what I put the tables in there for. So to find that they have more than one use was really nice.
I really liked.
Yes, perfect.
Sorry.
No, I was literally like, Christy, I need to hear your voice right now. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah, so I really appreciated a handful of things about this. So as somebody who plays like from like a therapeutic setting, so I'm gonna say a couple of different things. So from like a therapeutic GM setting, from someone who sits with people on a regular basis who have no idea how to storytell. They're not familiar with D&D lore. They have no idea what the character sheet does, how to play with it, like what to do. No scope of understanding. A game like this would allow for people who emotionally are trying to like work through things, tell stories without having to talk about their story. So like out of the gate, when we started talking about some of the stuff, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, this is something that I could use at work. This is something I could use that's like less intense and less invasive as D&D can be, and it can be completely and solely theirs and their story that they create. And then the other part was I loved that you fucking included mundane, simple things in that list. Like, I loved that there was a business person or an accountant. Like, we had created this like high magic world, and like when I rolled on that accountant bit, I thought this is hilarious, because like every story I think to some degree needs that like brevity of like mundane, because if you're just drilling in war and misery and fighting and it's like
high
all of
fantasy,
these like high
everyone's
fantasy,
chosen,
everything's chosen and everything's magical and everyone's doing this and everyone's got this, like then it's like, oh well, little Steve trying to like make his way through the world, he doesn't matter, but he does.
Little Laverne.
Sometimes note-taking matters.
Yeah, like
I mean, that's just Harper's season 1.
It's true though. So when everything's like super big and super like everything, the world was big, the characters in it were big, the gods were big, everything. And then you bring in this tiny little weirdo who's like writing the story on the backs of receipts. It's like, oh, mundane helps. You know what I mean? Like everybody matters. Every story matters. Every single line matters. And like, to touch on what Purple said about like tying it all back and bringing it all back just makes it that much more emotional. So I fucking loved this.
Foxy
I
said
can't
something
wait
in.
to like
I'm
take it
sorry.
to work.
Foxy said something in chat that was like, seriously, Proper, you made 69 a sex worker, and
So good.
and
Yes.
of course I did. One thing I said in chat back was, yeah, anyone can be a hero. And so I
just
really
wanna
like
know-
wanted that to be an important thing, that like, yes, there is mundane things in here because they're still valid.
I'm just saying, I definitely did. I sounded a lot less cynical in the way that I said that in the chat. I was actually impressed with that. I wanted, because I felt like there was some cynicism in the way you were relaying what I had said. And I feel like that wasn't an accurate portrayal of the intended mood I intended to deliver.
It's fine.
All right, anyway, I got
Nobody can see the chat in the YouTube because I forgot to put it on the overlay.
it.
But
Intentional. It's a feature, not a bug.
it's fine. There was something else I was going to say that I forget what it was. Oh, basically that someone, I think Purple Phil said this in the break. Basically, this is a very system agnostic game, which I made for a reason, because say you wanted to make a game that's set in modern times and doesn't necessarily have magic, you could play without any magic whatsoever. You just say to the table, hey, we're doing this as session 0. We're not going to have a whole lot of magic, so like, tell other stories. And there's 100 different stories you can tell right there on the table. So
Yeah.
More mythology than magic.
Exactly.
But even, there's like, what is it, the Shannara whatever books where it's
Shannara
like
Chronicles?
there was magic way back in the day, and now it was like modern times or something, or it was modern and then now it's magic, but like they'll like find an old high school, but they're casting magics, and they come across like an old modern high school, or like an old like rocket ship port, like, I mean, you could easily have it all high magics, and then there's some like
cataclysm or
spell
something.
yeah, and then now it's just like modern living,
Or the other way and have it
and it's all
mundane.
just turned to, yeah, and it's
Until it-
vice versa. You could like, you go on long enough and the world ends up being whatever you want it to be. Who matters? Like, the only thing you have of the history is what's written down in
That's
Laverne
the
notes.
only really,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a problem with the system, is that there isn't an end. And someone asked this in Discord recently, like, what is the end point? And there really isn't. It's just basically as far as you want to go, or as long as you want to stay up. However, I did mention to the players, I was like, if you wanted to use this as a session 0 and you had a game master, obvious that person should play on equal footing with all the rest of the players, but they could also be like a director of some sort. They could they could say to the group, hey, we're gonna start a year 3000, and this is the history or the lore that's happened before you, but go ahead and make up your own now, because whatever came before you isn't what you have to worry about. You have to worry about what comes ahead of you. And
Right.
so I
Right.
think that you could set something up and say, have at it, and then you'd have a world that was more theirs, but had like the same
Yeah.
kind of background that you wanted to start with.
I was gonna say almost the entire opposite. Like, I feel like if I was to GM this, if I had like again, the kind of like thing I do where I have like a rough skeleton, like framework of a world, I would definitely be fine like presenting that and then having my players go on with playing this based off of that. But if I'm coming in like completely neutral, just like I've gathered up some friends, hey, let's play D&D, Starfinder, whatever. Let's play that. Let's play a game. What's our campaign? What's our setting? If we're just gonna play this to create that, I would almost say, okay, we're at year 0. I literally am not going to say a single thing. All I'm going to do is sit here and write all the notes. I'm going to write the timeline. You guys just circular storytell. You guys do that. Like, just give it all to the players. And as a GM, just step entirely away from it. Like, I would want to experiment with that almost, because like I feel like so many of the tabletop traditional games you could use this to build like stories for are the opposite dynamic, where the GM has most of that story agency and the players are kind of more actors within it. So inverting that dynamic before the campaign even starts and saying, you know what, before I take control of this world and put you guys in it, you guys make it, I think is a really, really cool thing this like system could do, which I love a lot.
I can see Sarah is itching to say something. So Sarah, why don't you give us some last remarks, and I will give us the conclusion so we can get you out of here.
Yeah, so I just want to because from my perspective as like a GM sitting here, what I love about it is that you can embed your lore from the jump, and your players won't really know, because like it'll be a part of like everything, and so the ownership will come from like them. And so it's like implanting your idea, like the earliest idea in, and like just seeing like it's collaborative storytelling in like a pure form. And like that was my takeaway from this, was it's and watching how everyone else would interpret it or take it or run with it. Like you can say, this is exactly like, these are the things that I want, that I need on my turns. I will embed them in, right? Like you can come with some preconceived ideas that you like, if it's necessary for your plot line, and just put it right, like plug it right in wherever you need it to be, kind of a deal. And I think that that's really powerful. And again, like I've said this 1,000 times and I'll die saying it. The reason I like TTRPGs is the collaborative storytelling. The reason that I come here is because I want to like listen to other people's stories, be a part of it, be better from it. And this like gives you the foundation of a world. Like, but honestly, like a little bit, guys, we just played a full fucking campaign. And the other note I want to make too is a lot of the times people see these like writing or creating as like some monumental task. Like it's this really hard thing and you have to have every single fucking specific of like, this person did this thing when they were this many years old, and like all of like these minute like details. But this is evidence that you don't. All you need are concepts. All you need are ideas. Just throw some spaghetti at the wall and see if it sticks. If you got an idea for a story, just freaking start writing it, or sit down with a group of friends and start spitballing. And like, this is the thing, like, I think we create a lot of barriers for creating. And this whole exercise, the whole time I'm sitting here, I'm like, no, you can just do it. You can just do it. And I think that that's beautiful. And I'm so, so, so grateful to have been a part of it at all. So thank you all, because you're all amazing and all the, you know.
That was better than anything I could have said. So thank you very much, Sarah. I'm going to ask all of you to give your closing remarks. And then right before we leave, I'm going to read the conclusion. So Foxy, take it away, and then I will finish us off, okay?
Hey, what's up? It's Young Foxy, aka Big Foxy, aka Baron Von Foxy, your favorite fox. Find me on Twitter at Young Foxy, and catch me tomorrow at Neon Lights Roleplay, playing Cyberpunk Red in our Cyberpunk Red campaign, where I'm playing Fox the Fixer, who is now running for mayor and probably gonna get himself killed really soon. So don't miss that. That's all I got. I don't know. Love you guys. Had a good night. Love you.
I'm Luke Locke. This was amazing. This is going to be my new unstructured TTRPG like road trip game that I play with friends. And catch me back here on Monday for Altered Carbon and Tuesday for Harper's. That's it for me.
Hello, I'm Purple Phil. You will be able to find me next Thursday for our first episode of The Wrath of Many, which is Tyrant's new game that he's going to be running with me, and Chrissy will be there, and a couple other great people. 3 other people, I guess. Well, and Ty. It's going to be a fun. We did a cool little kind of little similar thing to this, where we did a prep session using the Quiet Year that's going to be out on the Patreon soon. So if you want to join our Patreon, you can check that out. Other than that following Saturday, I will be joining the Top Shelf for another episode of the company campaign that they're doing. I'm going to be coming in and filling in a position. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then on that Sunday, I'll be in the Only War campaign in His Divine Name with our boy Foxy. He's going to be GMing us, so hopefully we don't die. And with that, I'll pass it off to Chrissy.
Hey guys, I'm Chrissy. You can find me all over the internet at Chrissy Crits on literally any social media, and you can find me in our Discord. You will see me on Thursday in The Wrath of Many, playing a very skeptical Furbolg. And what else am I in? I'm also in the Tyranny of Dragons during Module Week. That's a lot of fun if you come out and check that out. There's lots of other stuff coming through the pipeline, so definitely check out the schedule. Come join us in Discord, say hello to everybody. And yeah, I can't wait to play this so many more times. I'm just so excited. I can't wait to take it to work. Okay, thanks, bye.
Hi, I am Osirix Franco. If you like my face and the words I say sometimes, you can find me at Osirix Franco on Twitch and Twitter. Places you can see me soon. Monday in Altered Carbon, Tuesday in Harper's, Thursday over at Nat 20 in Roundhouse Alpha. I'm also in shows like Morningstar and Company over there, which is on hiatus, but is coming back soon. I can't wait to play my sarcastic Water Genasi wizard. I miss her very, very much. We also have Against the Tides, which is coming back June 16th, where I will be bringing a new character. I'm very excited for that. We just had Dark Echoes this morning. You can catch the VOD there. It was fucking wild. The Bard's Refrain is in 2 weeks from today, which is super cool. And I just want to really briefly again express my intense gratitude to be a part of this incredible group of storytellers. And I want to just to thank Proper for like this very cool thing that he made and tell him that I'm so incredibly proud of the thought and care and like such a cool idea. And also to just tell everybody, like, tell your fucking stories because we need them and the world is better for having them, and use this to do it. Tell your goddamn stories, please. Passing it over to Proper.
Hi, my name is ProperNerdy. I'm a TPK staff member role player, and I guess now officially a game designer. That's a weird thing to put onto my list. I'm on various games. You'll see me in Harper's. You'll see me eventually in City of Mist with not one but 2 players of the current system. So I look forward to that in the future. And there was one other thing I was going to say. Oh, I'm going to eventually run my Spooky Trains one-shot, so looking forward to that in the future. I have written a conclusion that I have suggested you read at the very end of the game or have someone read for you. It'll be the very last thing that you hear, so have a lovely, lovely night. Stick around for a raid for the Nat 30s, who are a lovely channel of D&D players, and have a lovely evening. Let me put on my good song here. Conclusion. Congratulations. Together we have created a world. We have made myths and legends, heroes and villains, cultures and countries, conflicts and peace, hatred and love. And all this through the people who helped shape it. The stories we have told have spanned centuries, but there are so many more that we haven't told, so many years we haven't lived, and so many worlds we haven't seen yet. However, this world is our own, and its history is our own. This world is our oyster, and we can shape our own world in just the same way. This power is great and ought to be understood as such. Shape your own world by being a protagonist in it. Thank you for playing.